Most people spend their whole lives trying to fix their habits, their bodies, their routines, but they never stop to train the one thing that controls it all, their mind. If your thoughts are scattered, your decisions will be sloppy. If you don't know how to focus, you'll waste time chasing everything and finishing nothing. The truth is, without a strong mind, you can't build a strong life. You might feel motivated one day and lazy the next. You might start something important but drop it the moment it gets tough. That's not because you're weak. It's because your mind hasn't been trained to stay steady when life throws pressure your way. This audiobook is about changing that. It's about learning how to build a mindset that doesn't fold under stress, doesn't lose control when things go wrong, and doesn't give up just because progress is slow. If you've ever felt stuck, unmotivated, or distracted, you're not alone. But you don't have to stay that way. You can build discipline. You can learn how to stay consistent even when your emotions are all over the place. And you can train your mind to be stronger than your excuses. By the end of this audiobook, you'll see what it really takes to trust the process and stay consistent every single day. No more stopping and starting. No more waiting for the perfect time. Just real, honest work on yourself every day. So if you're ready to stop wasting time, stop doubting yourself, and finally commit to getting better for real, this is where it starts. Stay with me. This might be the shift your life's been waiting for. Chapter: Start showing up for yourself. Every day, start showing up for yourself every day. That simple decision changes everything. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's not something the world applauds right away. But it's the most powerful shift you can make. Because when you decide to show up for yourself, you begin to take your life seriously. You begin to treat your mind, your time, your energy, and your future with the respect they deserve. And the truth is, no one is going to do that for you. No one is going to rescue you from your doubts or your distractions. It's you. It's always been you. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize no one is coming to make them better. No one else will force you to grow. No one else will take your goals seriously unless you do first. You can keep waiting. You can keep making excuses. You can keep blaming the past or the people around you. Or you can start. You can stand up, look at your own life with full responsibility and say, I'm not going to betray myself anymore. I'm not going to waste my time or potential pretending like this doesn't matter. Because it does. Your life matters. What you do every single day matters. And the small decision to start showing up for yourself is the foundation for everything you want to build. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always have the energy or clarity or perfect plan. That's fine. Showing up isn't about waiting to feel ready. It's about showing up anyway. It's about choosing not to abandon yourself when things are hard or uncomfortable. It's about staying loyal to the version of you that you know you can become. That version doesn't live in your imagination. It lives in your actions. You meet that version every time you show up and put in the work. Start small. Start real. Start where you are. If your life feels like it's in pieces, start by picking up one. Show up for yourself in the way you wake up, the way you speak to yourself, the way you decide to spend your first minutes of the day. That's where it begins. Maybe it's turning off your alarm and getting out of bed without delay. Maybe it's putting your phone down and taking minutes to breathe and focus. Maybe it's deciding to eat something that fuels you instead of numbing you. These are not small things. These are the bricks that build your future. Showing up for yourself is not always glamorous. In fact, it's often boring, repetitive, uncomfortable, and invisible to others. But that's what makes it powerful. Because you're not doing it for attention. You're doing it because you've decided to be consistent. You've decided to become someone you respect. And the only way to build that self-respect is to honor your word to yourself. It doesn't matter if anyone else sees it. What matters is that you see it. What matters is that you know you didn't quit on yourself again today. When you show up for yourself, you begin to quiet the noise inside. You stop chasing the approval of everyone else. You stop letting fear run your decisions. You don't need to announce it. You just live it. You walk into your day with presence. You take care of what's in front of you. You make choices that align with your values, not your impulses. You respond instead of reacting. You breathe deeper. You carry yourself like someone who has direction. Because you do. You've chosen a different path. You've chosen to grow. This isn't about perfection. It's not about getting everything right. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about asking, what does showing up for me look like today? And then doing that. Maybe it's doing the hard thing you've been avoiding. Maybe it's taking a walk instead of scrolling through your phone. Maybe it's finally facing that uncomfortable truth and making a change. You don't need a dramatic breakthrough. You need daily action, daily self-respect. That's what transforms you. There will be days when your mind wants to pull you back into old habits. Days when the voice in your head tells you to skip your commitments, break your promises, or settle for the easy way out. On those days, remember this. Discipline isn't punishment, it's love. It's choosing to do what's right for you even when it's hard. It's reminding yourself that you're worth the effort. And every time you push through that resistance, even just a little, you make yourself stronger. You don't build confidence by pretending to be perfect. You build confidence by doing what you said you'd do, by keeping your word to yourself, by showing up when it's inconvenient. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. And that trust becomes the foundation of your power. That trust becomes your strength when things fall apart. That trust is what keeps you focused when distractions tempt you to quit. The way you treat yourself in private is what shapes your life in public. If you constantly let yourself down behind closed doors, it will show. If you neglect your responsibilities when no one is watching, you're training yourself to live without direction. But if you build the habit of showing up no matter how you feel, you create a life rooted in purpose. You walk differently. You speak with more clarity. You handle setbacks without falling apart, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. This kind of strength doesn't show up overnight. It's built slowly, quietly, repeatedly. You have to earn it. You have to work for it. You have to keep choosing it when it would be easier not to. That's why so few people live with real peace and power. Because it takes more than wanting change. It takes showing up for that change, not once, not occasionally, but every day. The truth is, there are no shortcuts, no secrets, no hacks. Just you and the decision you make every morning. Will you abandon yourself again today? Or will you show up, even if you're tired, even if you're anxious, even if no one sees it? Will you show up anyway? Start with what you can control. Start with your habits, your attitude, your reactions, your routines. These are the things that shape the quality of your life. Not your circumstances, not your background, not your past. You can't go back and change what's behind you, but you can take complete control over what's in front of you. And that starts by showing up for yourself over and over again until it becomes your way of life. Wake up and own your day. Sit with your thoughts instead of avoiding them. Set an intention before you scroll. Drink water, move your body. Read something that strengthens your mind. Say no to things that waste your energy. Say yes to what helps you grow. Write down your goals. Reflect on your progress. Catch yourself when your mind drifts into fear or self-doubt. Pull it back. Realign. Refocus. These things don't take hours. They take presence. They take commitment. You don't need to change your whole life in 1 week. You need to change how you show up for it each day. That's the work. That's where the power lives. In the decision to keep going. In the choice to take yourself seriously even when it's hard. You were not made to stay stuck. You were not made to shrink yourself, to fit into places that don't respect your growth. You were made to become something more. But that will never happen until you show up for it, even if you fall short, even if you mess up, even if you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Keep showing up. Keep returning. Keep fighting for your progress. That's how you get better. That's how you build momentum. That's how you earn the future you want. Not through luck, not through waiting, but through discipline, through daily effort, through the quiet decision to keep showing up. No one else can do this for you. No one else knows what you need like you do. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for things to be easier. Start now. Start messy. Start unmotivated. Just start. And then keep going. Because the moment you decide to show up for yourself every day is the moment everything starts to change. Your mind becomes clearer. Your body becomes stronger. Your decisions become sharper. You carry yourself differently. You stop feeling like a victim. You stop complaining about what you can't control. You focus on what you can. And you do this work because you know the cost of staying stuck. You know what happens when you don't show up. So you make the better choice, not because it's easy, because it's necessary. That's the life you're building. One disciplined choice at a time. One honest day at a time. You don't need anyone's approval. You need your own. You can need to be able to look in the mirror and know you didn't give up on yourself. That's the kind of peace that can't be bought. That's the kind of confidence that can't be faked. And that's the kind of strength that carries you through the hardest seasons of life. So start showing up. Start now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. Start small. Start real. And then do it again tomorrow and the next day, until it's no longer something you try to do. It's just who you are. A person who shows up. A person who leads themselves. A person who is no longer waiting to be saved, because they already made the decision to save themselves. One choice, one day, one action at a time. Chapter 2. Take full control of your daily focus. Your attention is your most valuable asset. Not your time, not your money, your focus. Because whatever captures your attention shapes your thoughts. And whatever shapes your thoughts becomes your life. Most people never realize this. They drift through their days, reacting to whatever pulls at them the hardest. Notifications, conversations, stress, noise. They live in a constant state of distraction, wondering why they feel so tired, lost, and unfulfilled. But the truth is, your life becomes what you focus on consistently. And if you don't take control of your focus, someone else will. It starts the moment you wake up. Before your feet hit the floor, your mind is already scanning for inputs. You reach for your phone, check your messages, dive into the world of news, opinions, and pressure. From that moment on, your attention no longer belongs to you. It's scattered, divided, pulled in different directions. And with every little distraction, your clarity fades. Your sense of purpose weakens. You start reacting instead of creating. You become busy without being effective. And by the end of the day, you're drained. Not because you worked hard, but because you spent all your mental energy on things that didn't matter. Focus is not something you find. It's something you build. It's a muscle. And just like any muscle, it only grows through resistance. The resistance to distractions. The resistance to instant gratification. The resistance to emotional impulses that try to pull you away from what you should be doing. Taking full control of your daily focus means creating structure around your mind. It means deciding in advance what deserves your attention, and fiercely protecting that decision. The mind wants to wander. That's its nature. It's always searching for comfort, novelty, and escape. But when you live like that, always chasing the next hit of stimulation, you never get anything meaningful done. You feel busy, but you're not progressing. You feel overwhelmed, but you're not productive. The solution isn't more time, it's sharper focus. It's the discipline to choose what matters and shut out everything that doesn't. This kind of discipline doesn't come from motivation. It comes from clarity. Clarity about who you want to be. Clarity about the kind of life you're trying to build. Without that, you'll always default to what's easy. You'll always fall back into old patterns. But when your vision is clear, when you know what your priorities are, then taking control of your focus becomes an act of loyalty to your future. You stop giving your energy to things that pull you backward. You stop getting involved in problems that aren't yours. You stop overthinking things that don't deserve your attention. You stay locked in on what moves you forward. To take full control of your focus, you have to simplify. Too many people try to focus on everything. And as a result, they focus on nothing. Start by defining your top priorities. What are the 3 most important things you need to do today? Not the most urgent, not the most exciting, the most important. The things that, if done with full attention, will bring you closer to your goals. Write them down, look at them often, and commit to finishing them with full intensity. Create boundaries for your attention. That means carving out time blocks where you're unreachable. No messages, no social media, no checking things that can wait. During these blocks, your only job is to focus deeply on the task in front of you. It doesn't matter how long you work. It matters how well you focus. An hour of deep focus is more powerful than a whole day of scattered effort. Train your mind to go deep, to resist the urge to check, to stay with the process long enough to produce something real. Protect your mental environment. The same way you don't allow toxic people into your life, you shouldn't allow toxic inputs into your mind. Be intentional about what you consume. Don't start your day with chaos. Don't end it with noise. Create rituals that calm your thoughts and sharpen your awareness. Read something that strengthens you. Reflect on what you learned. Meditate, journal, breathe. These are not luxuries. They are necessities. In a world addicted to distraction, the more you protect your focus, the more powerful your presence becomes. You start to notice things other people miss. You start to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You begin to trust yourself more because you're not being constantly pulled away from your path. You begin to create with more depth, lead with more conviction, and live with more peace. Not because life is easier, but because you're no longer leaking energy on things that don't matter. Your focus is like a garden. If you don't protect it, weeds will grow. Useless thoughts, pointless worries, meaningless comparisons. You can't control what shows up, but you can control what you allow to grow. You pull out what doesn't belong. You water what does. You make time for what matters. And over time, that garden becomes a place of strength, a place of clarity, a place where the best version of you is built every single day. This requires honesty. You have to be real about what steals your focus. You have to admit the habits, the people, the apps, the situations that drain you. Don't judge yourself. Just become aware. Awareness is the first step to change. Once you see the pattern, you can disrupt it. You can replace the low-value inputs with high-value actions. You can train your mind to stay locked in on the present moment and extract every ounce of value from it. When you're in control of your focus, you don't need to rush. You don't need to multitask. You don't need to impress anyone. You move with confidence because you know where your energy is going. You move with peace because your mind is no longer cluttered. You move with purpose because you've chosen what matters most and you're not wasting another day drifting through life. There is power in single tasking, in doing one thing with full attention. Whether it's writing, reading, working, talking, or resting, give it everything. Be all there. That's how you increase the quality of your work. That's how you develop mastery. Not by doing more, but by doing less with more focus. The people who rise to the top are not the ones who are the busiest. They're the ones who can lock in, go deep, and stay focused long after others give up. You have to learn to direct your mind instead of letting it direct you. You have to become the watcher of your thoughts, not the slave to them. When your mind tries to wander, bring it back. When your attention drifts, gently return to the task. When the noise creeps in, shut it down. This isn't about being perfect. It's about building the strength to stay with what matters. Every time you resist distraction, you make your mind stronger. Every time you choose focus over impulse, you become more in control of your life. There will always be something trying to steal your attention. The world is full of noise, conflict, drama, and temptation. But you don't have to engage. You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to react to everything. You get to choose where your energy goes. And the moment you start choosing, the moment you start directing your attention with intention, that's when your life starts to transform. Focus makes you dangerous in the best way. It makes you sharp, unshakable, clear. It allows you to accomplish in weeks what others struggle with for years. Not because you're smarter, not because you're faster, because you're focused, because you've removed the noise, because you're all in. Build your life around focus. Design your days so that they support your clarity. Don't leave your attention up to chance. Guard it like your future depends on it, because it does. Every breakthrough you want, financial, emotional, physical, spiritual, requires sustained focus. There is no success without it. There is no progress without it. There is no peace without it. Train your focus like a warrior trains their discipline. Rise with intention. Move with precision. Choose what matters and eliminate the rest. This isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. Not smarter in theory, smarter in presence. You're not trying to do everything. You're trying to do what matters and do it well. That's the path to real growth. That's the path to a life that feels aligned and complete. And when your focus slips, and it will, don't shame yourself. Don't spiral. Just notice, reset, refocus. It's not about never getting distracted. It's about returning faster. It's about becoming more resilient. The better you get at that, the stronger your focus becomes. It becomes a habit, a way of life. And eventually, it becomes your default mode. You stop chasing attention. You start building attention. And from there, everything becomes possible. So take your focus seriously. Because your future depends on it. Because your peace depends on it. Because the life you want to live cannot be built with a distracted mind. It takes sharpness. It takes patience. It takes repetition. But most of all, it takes ownership. No more blaming. No more waiting. No more drifting. This is your moment to take control, to live with clarity, to build with purpose, to focus fully, completely, daily, until it becomes who you are. Chapter: Build better habits that strengthen your discipline. Discipline doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from structure, from systems, from habits that are forged through repetition and reinforced by commitment. It's easy to talk about change. It's common to want results. But until your daily habits align with your future vision, nothing shifts. Motivation fades. Willpower runs out. But habits stay. They shape how you think, how you act, and ultimately who you become. If you want to strengthen your discipline, you have to begin by building habits that train your mind and body to move in the direction of your goals without needing to be pushed. You are not what you say you'll do. You are what you do consistently. That's what defines you. Not your intentions, not your plans, your patterns. And your patterns are built one action at a time. Every habit you create is either training you to stay weak or strengthening you to grow. And the smallest habits often hold the greatest power. Waking up at the same time, putting your phone away during work, finishing what you start, saying no to what you once tolerated. These small actions form the core of self-discipline. To build better habits, you have to make decisions that remove the need for future decisions. That's the secret. Discipline doesn't mean fighting temptation every day. It means structuring your life so that you're not always fighting. When you reduce friction, you reduce excuses. When your environment supports your habits, your discipline feels natural, not forced. Put your training shoes by the door. Prepare your meals in advance. Turn off notifications during deep work. These aren't hacks. They're commitments. And they matter more than you think. You become disciplined by making the right action the easy one, and the wrong action the inconvenient one. If your bad habits are easy to access, they'll keep pulling you in. If your good habits are buried under complexity, you'll keep avoiding them. So simplify. Make your daily actions obvious. Make your standards visible. Make your schedule clear. Don't try to wing it. Build systems that guide your behavior before your emotions get involved. Habits are not just physical actions, they're mental training. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That's the root of real confidence. Not loud words or public validation, but the quiet certainty that comes from consistent self-respect. When you tell yourself you'll do something and then do it, you're proving to your mind that you can be trusted. That's where discipline becomes self-sustaining. You stop needing to hype yourself up. You start relying on your own consistency. You don't need to change everything overnight. Trying to transform your entire life in 1 week only leads to frustration. Start small. One habit, one shift, one commitment. Keep it realistic. Keep it repeatable. Focus on showing up, not on being perfect. You don't need intensity. You need consistency. Even one push-up a day is better than waiting for the perfect workout plan. Even minutes of focused work is better than a full day of procrastination. Momentum builds when you stop waiting to feel ready and start doing what must be done. Self-discipline isn't about restriction. It's about alignment. It's about making your actions match your values. If you value growth, then you act in a way that promotes growth. If you value peace, you stop engaging in habits that create chaos. Discipline gives you freedom, not limitation, because the more control you have over your habits, the less control your impulses have over your life. You're not fighting yourself. You're guiding yourself with clarity, with intention, with strength. Don't confuse excitement with progress. Excitement comes and goes. It's emotional. Discipline, on the other hand, is rational. It's the ability to act according to what you know is best, even when you don't feel like it. That's why habits are essential, because they operate beyond feelings. Once a habit is locked in, it doesn't ask for your mood. It just runs. And over time, it becomes second nature. You wake up and execute. You don't negotiate. You move because it's who you are, not because you feel inspired in the moment. To build better habits, track your actions, not to impress anyone, not to create pressure, but to build awareness. What you measure improves. When you track your progress, you bring clarity to your behavior. You can't lie to yourself when the data is right in front of you. Did you complete your daily habit, yes or no? There's no room for excuses. And that honesty, day after day, forces growth. It humbles you, it holds you accountable, it moves you forward. There will be days when you slip. That's not failure, that's feedback. Discipline doesn't mean being perfect. It means not quitting when things get hard. If you miss a habit, don't spiral. Don't make it emotional. Just reset. Get back to work. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. The key is to never miss twice. 1 break is a mistake. 2 breaks is a new pattern. Interrupt it before it becomes a setback. Discipline is not about how many times you fall. It's about how quickly you get back up. Be careful with what you normalize. Every time you let yourself off the hook, you're reinforcing the idea that your standards are negotiable. But if your word to yourself is constantly optional, you'll never trust your own decisions. Self-trust is built through self-discipline. Not by being hard on yourself, but by being honest with yourself. If something matters to you, treat it like it matters. Don't keep breaking promises you say are important. That's how you destroy momentum. That's how you kill self-belief. Better to do something small and consistent than to chase something big and unsustainable. Discipline grows when you embrace discomfort. Most habits that change your life won't feel easy at first. Waking up early, eating clean, saying no to distractions, finishing what you start. These things aren't comfortable, but they're powerful. The more you practice doing what's hard, the more your mind adapts. You stop being afraid of effort. You stop avoiding friction. You start seeing resistance as a signal of growth. And once that switch flips in your mind, nothing can stop you. Surround yourself with habits that reflect who you want to become. Your current behavior should be a rehearsal for your future. If you want to be strong, do what strong people do. If you want to be calm, act with calmness. If you want to be successful, mimic the habits of those who have built success through discipline, not talent. Every time you repeat those actions, you reinforce the identity you're building. It becomes less about trying and more about being. Avoid habits that make you weak, not because they're wrong, but because they rob you of strength. Habits like procrastination, overthinking, emotional reactions, gossip, and excessive consumption. These patterns seem harmless in the moment, but they chip away at your focus, your energy, your edge. Protect your discipline by refusing to participate in what pulls you away from excellence. You don't rise by accident. You rise by intention. And your daily habits are proof of your direction. Design your environment for success. Discipline isn't just about inner strength. It's also about smart setup. If you keep junk food in your house, it will get eaten. If you keep your phone next to your bed, you will scroll. Don't make yourself fight unnecessary battles. Set up your space in a way that supports your best choices. Put reminders where you'll see them. Organize your tools. Keep your goals visible. Don't rely on willpower. Rely on preparation. That's how the disciplined win. By planning their days so well that success becomes the default, not the exception. Be patient. Real change takes time. Habits don't transform your life in a week. But given time, they rewrite your entire identity. They change how you think, how you respond, how you show up in every situation. When discipline becomes part of who you are, everything becomes simpler. You no longer waste time arguing with yourself. You no longer delay your decisions. You take action because that's your standard. You move forward even when it's hard because that's your foundation. It's not about hype. It's about integrity. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Goals are good for setting direction. But systems, your habits, are what move you forward each day. Build habits that support your energy, protect your time, sharpen your focus, and feed your growth. Discipline is not one thing you do. It's everything you do. It's how you walk, how you speak, how you think, how you act when no one is watching. And the more aligned your habits are with who you want to become, the faster you get there. There is no substitute for daily effort. Not reading, not watching, not talking, only doing. You don't need more information. You need more action. Stop planning the perfect routine and start with one habit that brings you closer to your goals. Stick with it long enough that it becomes automatic. Then add another. Build layer by layer. That's how real progress happens. Quiet, steady, relentless. Not by chasing motivation, but by creating momentum through disciplined habits. Every action you repeat writes a line in the story of your life. Choose actions that build strength. Choose habits that stretch your potential. Don't settle for average routines that lead to average outcomes. Raise your standards. Raise your habits. Raise the way you carry yourself. You are always training your mind, whether you realize it or not. Train it to be strong. Train it to be focused. Train it to stay locked in on what matters. Because the future belongs to those who have the discipline to keep building when no one is clapping. This is the work. Not glamorous, not loud, but powerful, life-changing. The quiet power of daily discipline rooted in strong habits is what separates those who talk from those who transform. Decide who you want to be, then build habits that make that version of you inevitable. One day, one choice, one step at a time. Chapter: Eliminate distractions that steal your energy. Distractions are not just things that pull your attention for a few moments. They are forces that slowly strip away your energy, your focus, and your future. They don't always show up as chaos. Sometimes they show up as comfort. A quick scroll, a random notification, a reply that didn't need to be sent. It feels harmless, but over time, these little interruptions pile up and leave you wondering where your day went. And when your time is constantly scattered, your mind starts to lose its sharpness. You become reactive instead of intentional. You live in fragments instead of flow. Energy is one of the most powerful currencies you have. Every decision, every conversation, every task requires it, and distractions drain it faster than you realize. You can't focus on what matters when your attention is constantly being hijacked. It's not just about wasted minutes. It's about wasted potential. Every distraction you tolerate is a choice to delay your growth. And if you don't eliminate the sources that rob you, you'll keep working hard, but getting nowhere. The truth is, most people don't even realize how much they're being drained until they finally step away from the noise. That moment of clarity, when the phone is off, the space is quiet, and your mind starts to settle. That's when you begin to feel how much energy you've been giving to things that don't serve you. Distractions don't just break your focus. They break your momentum. They interrupt your process and make everything feel harder than it needs to be. You start something, get distracted, and then it takes 5 times longer to finish it, if you finish at all. To eliminate distractions, you have to get brutally honest with yourself. What are you allowing into your day that doesn't deserve to be there? What habits are silently draining your power? What environments make it harder for you to stay locked in? You can't fight what you don't face, and you can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge. This isn't about judging yourself. It's about becoming conscious. Because once you become aware, you can take control. Control means creating boundaries. It means saying no to things that used to slip through unchecked. It means making hard decisions about where your attention goes and who gets access to it. You can't let everything and everyone into your space. You have to protect your time like it's your future, because it is. Start by turning off notifications that don't matter. Delete apps that don't contribute to your growth. Set time limits on platforms that pull you into mindless loops. Schedule your deep work time like it's an unbreakable appointment. These are not extreme steps. These are necessary steps. Some distractions are obvious. Others are disguised as responsibilities. Constant emails, endless group chats, meetings that go nowhere. These things look productive on the surface, but often create mental clutter. Every open loop steals a piece of your focus. You end up thinking about many things at once and doing none of them well. If something isn't urgent or important, it doesn't need your immediate attention. Learn to delay, delegate, or delete. Simplify your input so you can strengthen your output. The more you clean your mental space, the more clarity you gain. You start to notice how much better you perform when your mind isn't constantly being pulled in different directions. You start to experience the flow that only comes from uninterrupted effort. That's when you start doing work that actually matters. Work that feels fulfilling. Work that creates progress. You don't need more time. You need more focused time. And you only get that when you eliminate the distractions that split your attention. Even your internal distractions matter. Overthinking, doubts, fear of what others might think. These mental habits are just as damaging as external ones. They take your energy and trap it in cycles of worry and indecision. You need to discipline your inner dialogue. Train yourself to notice when your thoughts are pulling you away from action. Don't let your mind drift into useless territory. Bring it back. Focus it. Replace doubt with action. Replace noise with clarity. Mental discipline is built the same way physical discipline is, by repetition and resistance. Some people are distractions in disguise. Not everyone deserves your constant availability. If someone constantly pulls you into drama, negativity, or irrelevant conversations, they are costing you more than just your attention. They are costing you your momentum. You have to be willing to distance yourself from anyone who doesn't respect your focus. This isn't selfish. It's strategic. If your circle doesn't support your vision, you'll spend more time defending your priorities than pursuing them. You can't grow in an environment that keeps pulling you backward. You don't owe every message an instant reply. You don't have to explain your boundaries. Your time is your responsibility, and the moment you start treating it like something sacred, everything begins to shift. You start creating space for deep thought, for creativity, for powerful work. You stop living in reaction mode and start operating from intention. That's where real energy comes from. Not caffeine, not hype, but a mind that's undistracted and clear. Energy management is the real productivity. Anyone can stay busy, but very few know how to protect their energy so they can operate at their best. Start noticing what drains you. track your energy like it matters, because it does. After every meeting, every task, every interaction, ask yourself, did this energize me or deplete me? If it depleted you, adjust. Change the format. Change the timing. Change your response. You're not a machine. You need space to recover, and you need the strength to protect that space without guilt. Eliminating distractions isn't about being a robot. It's about being alive with purpose. It's about living your days with such clarity that you don't waste them on things that don't matter. You stop chasing the world's noise and start building your own rhythm. You stop trying to keep up and start focusing on what you're here to do. Because in the end, all the distractions you eliminate bring you closer to your true path. They give you the room to breathe, to build, to become. Create rituals that protect your focus. Start your day without your phone. Give yourself time to think before you consume. Design your space so that it signals clarity and intention. Let your physical environment reflect your mental state. If your desk is cluttered, your mind will be too. If your calendar is packed with chaos, your focus will scatter. Simplify your surroundings. Organize your tools. Clear your space. The more intentional your setup, the less effort it takes to stay focused. Take control of your attention the same way you take control of your finances. Audit where it's going. Set limits. Invest it wisely. You wouldn't give your money to things that don't return value. So why give your energy to habits and people that do the same? Every minute you spend distracted is a minute you're not moving forward. And enough of those minutes, day after day, turn into months and years of lost potential. The only way to stop that cycle is to reclaim your focus ruthlessly and without apology. There's power in doing one thing at a time. Multitasking is a myth that destroys deep work. The brain can't focus on two cognitive tasks at once. Every time you switch between tasks, you're losing momentum and burning energy. Train yourself to focus fully on one thing. Finish it. Then move on. This is how you build stamina. This is how you develop discipline. It's not about doing more. It's about doing better. And better only comes from being fully present in the task at hand. Give your mind time to rest. Constant stimulation is not the same as productivity. If you never let your mind slow down, you'll never access your deepest clarity. Take regular breaks from technology. Go outside, sit in silence, let your thoughts settle. That stillness is not wasted time. It's recovery. It's what allows you to return stronger. Without rest, focus becomes forced. With rest, focus becomes natural. And a focused mind can cut through any challenge with precision. Every distraction you remove creates space for something better. More energy, more clarity, more progress. It's not about restriction. It's about liberation. You're not missing out. You're stepping into something greater. A life that's driven by purpose. A schedule that reflects your priorities. A mind that's calm and clear. You start living with depth instead of surface noise. You start doing what actually matters instead of reacting to what pops up. That shift changes everything. No one is coming to rescue your attention. No one is going to protect your energy for you. You have to do it. You have to take ownership every day every hour, every choice. This is your life. And every distraction you let in is stealing a piece of it. Be ruthless with your focus. Be unshakable with your priorities. And be relentless in protecting your energy from anything that doesn't deserve it. Because once you eliminate the distractions that steal your energy, you unlock the power to create a life that's fully yours. Chapter: Train your thoughts to stay on track. Your mind will go wherever you let it. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for your approval. It follows the strongest pattern you've fed it over time. That's why it's so easy to lose control of your thoughts. One moment, you're focused. The next, you're lost in worries, memories, fantasies, or fears. And most people live this way without ever stopping to realize how much of their mental energy is being spent chasing thoughts that have no value. If your mind is constantly drifting, you will never build the life you truly want. Everything starts and ends with where your thoughts go. And if you want to get your life on track, you must first train your thinking to stay on track. You can't afford to leave your thoughts on autopilot. The default setting of your mind is survival, not growth. It's designed to spot danger, avoid discomfort, and repeat familiar patterns. If you're not actively guiding your thinking, it will always default to worry, fear, doubt, and distraction. Your job is to catch it before it spirals. You have to interrupt the pattern and bring it back to where it belongs. That takes awareness, patience, and daily practice. But if you do the work, your thoughts stop running the show and start working for you. You've got to understand something fundamental. Your thoughts are not always true. Just because something pops into your mind doesn't mean it's valid, helpful, or worth your time. Most of the thoughts that come up are echoes of past experiences. Things you've heard, things you've absorbed without question. They're habits, not facts. And if you let them go unchecked, they shape your decisions, your mood, your confidence, and ultimately your future. That's why training your mind is non-negotiable. It's not just about thinking positively. It's about thinking intentionally. The first step is learning to observe your thoughts without reacting. When a thought comes up, don't immediately respond. Don't judge it, just notice it. Is it pulling you forward or dragging you backward? Is it grounded in clarity or based in fear? Is it helping you stay focused or making you feel scattered? When you develop that level of awareness, you begin to break the automatic loop. You stop being a prisoner of your mind and start becoming the one who leads it. Training your thoughts means choosing what to focus on, even when distractions, temptations, or fears try to hijack your attention. You don't need to fight every thought. You just need to decide which ones deserve your energy. If something isn't useful, let it pass. If something is harmful, replace it. If something is powerful, lean into it. This isn't about controlling every thought. It's about creating a filter, and that filter is built by deciding what kind of mind you want to carry through the world. Discipline starts in the mind. Before you act, you think. Before you move, you decide. And that decision is born from your thinking. That's why when your thoughts are all over the place, your life feels chaotic. You can have all the plans, goals, and tools in the world, But if your mind is scattered, nothing works. You'll make excuses, second-guess yourself, and waste time doing things that don't matter. But when your thoughts are trained, you move with clarity. You stay locked in. You stop needing motivation and start living from intention. One powerful way to train your mind is through repetition. Not just repeating words, but repeating focus. Bringing your mind back again and again to the present task, the chosen goal, the meaningful direction. Each time your attention drifts and you bring it back, you're rewiring your brain. You're building mental strength the same way a muscle grows. From repeated resistance, the drift is not failure. It's part of the process. The return is where the strength is built. It's also essential to protect the quality of what you feed your mind. Just like your body responds to what you eat, your mind responds to what you consume. If you're constantly watching, reading, or listening to things that fill your head with negativity, comparison, or distraction, don't be surprised when your thoughts reflect that. What you feed your mind becomes what you focus on, and what you focus on becomes what you believe. If you want better thoughts, feed your mind better inputs. Silence is a powerful training ground for the mind. Most people are afraid of silence because it exposes the noise inside. But silence is where you regain command. It's where you hear your true voice without interruption. Take time every day to sit with your thoughts without devices, without distractions, without needing to do anything. Just sit, breathe, and listen. Let your mind settle. Let the clutter rise and pass. Over time, this practice sharpens your awareness and strengthens your ability to guide your thinking. Another important tool is writing. When your thoughts stay in your head, they get tangled. When you write them down, you separate signal from noise. You see what's real and what's just mental static. Journaling isn't about being poetic. It's about being clear. Write your priorities. Write your intentions. Write what you're working on, what you're struggling with, what you're learning. The act of putting thoughts into words is an act of leadership. You're leading your own mind. A trained mind knows how to pause in a world that's constantly demanding speed. A pause gives you power. When something triggers you, pause before reacting. When something excites you, pause before committing. That gap between impulse and response is where freedom lives, and you only develop that gap when you've practiced slowing down your thoughts instead of letting them race unchecked. The more you pause, the more control you gain over your emotions, your choices, and your results. Doubt will always try to creep in. That's its job. But you don't have to entertain it. You can acknowledge it without obeying it. You can hear it without believing it. Just because you feel uncertain doesn't mean you're unprepared. Just because a thought says you'll fail doesn't mean you will. Train your mind to challenge doubt with facts. What have you overcome? What have you proven to yourself? What are you capable of when you lock in? Remind yourself of the truth, not the fear, not the assumption, but the actual truth. Visualization is another tool for training your thoughts. See yourself doing the work. See yourself staying focused. See yourself winning. This isn't about fantasy. It's about mental rehearsal. Just like athletes visualize their moves before they perform, you can train your mind to focus on success before it happens. This creates alignment between your thoughts and your actions. It helps you move through your day with certainty instead of hesitation. Keep your thinking aligned with your goals. When your thoughts contradict your vision, you create internal resistance. For example, you say you want to get in shape, but your thoughts say it's too hard. You say you want to build a business, but your thoughts say you're not ready. That inner contradiction kills momentum. You have to close the gap. Speak in alignment with your goals. Think in alignment with your goals. Move in alignment with your goals. That alignment makes discipline easier because you're no longer fighting yourself. If your thoughts get derailed, don't beat yourself up. That only creates more noise. Just bring them back, over and over. Training isn't about perfection. It's about direction. Each time you catch your mind drifting and bring it back, you strengthen your mental discipline. You prove to yourself that you're in charge. And that self-trust becomes the foundation for everything else. Guard your thinking like it's your future, because it is. Don't let gossip, complaints, or negativity take root. Don't let other people's doubt become your own. You're the gatekeeper of your mind. Choose what gets in. Choose what stays. Choose what gets removed. The more intentional you are, the more powerful your thinking becomes. A focused mind is a rare thing today. That's why it's so valuable. Most people have scattered minds and reactive lives. You don't need to be one of them. You can build something better. You can live with clarity, act with purpose, and rise above the noise. But it starts with training your thoughts to stay on track, no matter what's happening around you. You can't always control what thoughts arise, but you can always decide what to do with them. That's the key. Respond instead of react. Choose instead of chase. Lead instead of follow. The more often you make that choice, the stronger your mind becomes. And once your thoughts are disciplined, your actions follow. Your results compound. Your life starts to align with the vision you carry inside. That's the power of training your mind. That's the reward of staying on track. Chapter: Speak to yourself with honest encouragement. The way you speak to yourself becomes the foundation of how you show up in your life every single day. You're having a conversation in your head, whether you realize it or not, and that conversation has power. It influences what you believe about yourself, what you're willing to do, and how much you're willing to grow. Most people don't realize how much damage they're doing just by the way they talk to themselves. They speak with blame, judgment, and doubt. They criticize their efforts, minimize their progress, and tear themselves down over the smallest mistake. Then they wonder why it's so hard to stay motivated or focused. It's not because they're lazy. It's because they've built an internal environment that's working against them. You don't need to be perfect to make progress. You need to be honest. You need to be real with yourself in a way that's not rooted in shame, but built on truth. Encouragement doesn't mean lying to yourself or pretending everything is okay when it's not. It means seeing the full picture. Your strengths and weaknesses, your wins and setbacks, and choosing to speak to yourself with the kind of tone that helps you move forward instead of keeping you stuck. You can be firm with yourself without being cruel. You can push yourself without tearing yourself down. You can expect more from yourself and still be kind in how you guide your thoughts. You don't become stronger by repeating every negative thought that comes into your mind. You become stronger by choosing a new way to respond to those thoughts. If you constantly say things like, "I can't," "I'm not ready," "I'm failing," then your actions will eventually align with that mindset. That inner dialogue will limit you more than any obstacle in the outside world ever could. The brain is always listening to the words you feed it. Speak in a way that creates power, not weakness. Tell yourself what you're capable of, not what you're afraid of. Remind yourself of the work you've done, the growth you've earned, the strength you've developed from every challenge you faced. When you do that, you start moving with a different kind of confidence. Not the loud kind that needs to prove something, but the quiet kind that knows who you're becoming. There will be days when you don't feel motivated, days when the progress is slow, the results aren't showing yet, you feel behind. That's exactly when you need your self-talk to be steady, not empty hype, but grounded encouragement. Tell yourself the truth. I've made it through worse than this. I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I used to be. I have what it takes to keep going. That kind of language matters. It keeps your head clear when emotions try to pull you off course, gives you something solid to hold on to when everything feels uncertain. Encouragement is not weakness. It's a strategy for mental strength. It keeps your internal world calm so you can keep taking action in the external world. Start paying attention to how you speak to yourself when no one's watching. Judge yourself for small mistakes. Ignore your progress and only focus on what's missing. Compare yourself to others and then beat yourself up. These patterns are invisible to everyone else, but they shape your entire experience. They decide how resilient you become, how deeply you believe in your goals, how willing you are to keep showing up. You can't just work on your habits, schedule, or goals. You have to work on your voice. The voice in your head needs to be the one that builds you up, not the one that breaks you down. Doesn't mean you let yourself off the hook. Real encouragement is honest. It's not about making excuses, about giving yourself a fair shot. It's about saying, "That wasn't good enough, but I'm learning," instead of "I'm worthless." Recognizing when you slipped, owning it and moving forward, not staying stuck in shame. You wouldn't speak to someone you love with constant criticism and sarcasm. Why would you speak to yourself that way? You can be demanding and still be respectful. Expect discipline and still show compassion. The combination of high standards and self-respect is what leads to lasting growth. Most people think external motivation is the answer to their problems. But real fuel comes from within. It comes from how you speak to yourself when no one's around to cheer you on. You're tired. You feel like giving up. Nothing seems to be going your way. In those moments, you either become your biggest ally or your greatest enemy. No one's coming to rescue you from your negative self-talk. You have to interrupt the pattern, rewrite the script. That's how change begins. Not with a perfect plan, but with a better conversation. You need to create a mental environment where growth is possible. That means encouraging effort, not just results, rewarding consistency, not just perfection, noticing your progress even when it's small. Most growth happens in silence. It happens when you're waking up early, staying disciplined, showing up when it's hard. If you're only proud of yourself when the outcome looks impressive, you'll miss all the wins happening in the middle. Speak to yourself in a way that recognizes the invisible victories. That kind of voice will keep you going when nothing else can. If your self-talk is filled with harshness, it doesn't make you tough. It makes you tired. It drains your energy. It weakens your focus. It makes you question everything. Encouragement, on the other hand, gives you fuel, brings your attention back to what matters, keeps your energy clean, helps you recover from mistakes faster, reminds you why you started. When you get into the habit of speaking to yourself with honesty and strength, you build something solid inside you, something no setback can destroy. This isn't about pretending things are easy. It's about reminding yourself that you're capable even when things are hard. Every day, your inner voice is either helping you or hurting you. And once you take control of it, everything starts to shift. You become more grounded, stay focused longer, bounce back faster, stop quitting on yourself so quickly. That inner strength becomes your foundation, and from that foundation, you can build anything. A powerful way to improve your self-talk is to speak out loud, not just in your head. Actually say the words, declare your goals, state your affirmations, remind yourself of who you are and what you're capable of. The voice you hear most often is your own. Make sure it's saying something worth listening to. The more you speak with clarity and strength, the more you believe it. Words shape beliefs, and beliefs shape behavior. Use that to your advantage. Also, be careful not to tie your self-worth to outcomes. Speak to yourself with encouragement, whether you succeed or fail. Whether you're winning or struggling, your value doesn't change based on performance. You're not only worthy of support when you're doing well, you're worthy of it every step of the way. And the more consistently you show up for yourself with honesty and encouragement, the more you'll be able to stay locked in, even when the journey gets rough. If you catch yourself thinking negatively, don't try to fight it with fake positivity. Replace it with something real. This is hard, but I've handled hard things before. I feel overwhelmed, but I'm not giving up. I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm figuring it out. This is how you start changing your mental script, not with empty slogans, but with grounded, powerful truth. Build that habit and your inner voice becomes your biggest strength. In the quiet moments, remind yourself what you've already survived, what you've already overcome, what you've already built with nothing but grit and heart. Speak about your growth. Speak about your future. Speak about the person you're becoming. Don't wait for other people to see your progress. Learn to see it yourself. Speak on it. Claim it. Let your voice reflect your growth, not your fears. This is your responsibility. No one else is going to speak to you the way you need to be spoken to. That's your job. That's your power. And once you take ownership of that voice, once you make it strong, consistent, and rooted in truth, everything else starts to change. Your focus sharpens. Your energy stays cleaner. Your commitment deepens. Because when your inner voice is working for you instead of against you, there's nothing you can't build. Chapter 7. Push through resistance with steady action. Resistance doesn't show up when things are easy. It shows up the moment you decide to change, to grow, to improve, to stop wasting time and start doing the work. Resistance is that internal force that tries to pull you back into comfort, into distraction, into delay. It shows up as doubt, as fear, as procrastination. It makes you second-guess what you already know you should be doing. It whispers excuses and offers tempting alternatives that feel easier. But that's its only job, to stop your momentum. It doesn't care about your dreams, your goals, or your purpose. It only cares about keeping you still. That's why steady action is the only way to beat it. You don't defeat resistance by overthinking it. You defeat it by doing the next thing, not perfectly, not impressively, just consistently. You don't need a grand plan or a burst of inspiration. You need to start with what you can control, your next small action. It's not about how motivated you feel. It's about how willing you are to keep moving. That willingness to act despite how you feel is what separates progress from stagnation. People wait for the resistance to disappear before they start. But resistance only weakens when you stop giving it your energy and start giving your energy to the work in front of you. Steady action isn't glamorous. It doesn't always look exciting. Sometimes it's repetitive. Sometimes it's boring. But it builds the kind of discipline that can't be shaken by mood or setbacks. When you train yourself to show up, whether you feel like it or not, you start creating real momentum. You stop being a prisoner of your emotions. You stop relying on willpower that fades when things get hard. You start depending on commitment, on the deep decision you made to stay on the path, no matter what tries to pull you off. Every day, you're going to face choices, to start or to delay, to move forward or to stay stuck, to take a step or to make another excuse. If you keep choosing what's easy, resistance wins. If you keep choosing what's necessary, you grow. It really is that simple. You don't need to analyze your fears or break down every hesitation. You just need to outwork them. You need to move anyway, because action creates clarity. It reminds you why you started. It shuts down the noise and focuses your attention on the present task. That kind of focus is rare, and it's powerful. It's how real transformation happens, one task at a time. Don't wait for the perfect moment to begin. That moment doesn't exist. All you have is now, and now is enough to start. The more you delay, the louder resistance gets. The more you hesitate, the more it convinces you that you're not ready. You break that cycle with movement, with decisions, with action, not by trying to feel better, but by doing better. You don't need to win the whole battle today. You just need to take the next step. And keep taking the next step, even when it feels heavy, especially when it feels heavy. That's where strength is built. In the moments when everything inside you wants to quit, but you don't. When your thoughts are clouded, but your feet keep moving. When your emotions are pulling you in every direction, but your actions stay grounded. That's how you build inner fire. Not by avoiding resistance, but by confronting it head-on, by saying, I see you, but I'm moving anyway. The most disciplined people in the world don't feel like working every day. They've just learned how to act without needing to negotiate with their emotions. They don't argue with resistance, they move through it. They trust that steady action always leads to something. It might not lead to immediate results, but it leads to growth, to strength, to focus, and that's what matters more than the short-term reward. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get it all right. You just need to stop stopping. Some days, your action will feel strong. Other days, it'll feel weak. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's steady. Steady action compounds. Steady effort builds confidence. Every time you move when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. You prove to yourself that your goals matter more than your comfort. That kind of proof builds belief, not from reading or thinking or planning, but from doing. That's why you can't keep waiting for motivation to show up. Motivation is fleeting. It's emotional. It rises and falls. Discipline is what you need. Discipline is your anchor, and it's built by what you do repeatedly. If you act consistently, even in small ways, you create a rhythm. That rhythm builds momentum. Momentum makes action easier, but you have to earn it. You have to show up before the momentum arrives. That's the test. Can you act without the reward? Can you move when the progress feels invisible? You can't break through resistance with intensity alone. You break through with consistency. Intensity might get you started, but consistency is what keeps you going. And steady action is what makes consistency real. It doesn't matter how slow you move. It matters that you don't stop. Every time you show up, you make resistance weaker, not all at once, but little by little. That's how the wall comes down. That's how discipline is built, from daily decisions made in silence. When you push through resistance with steady action, you build something unshakable. You stop relying on motivation. You stop waiting for things to get easier. You just move. You do the work. You keep showing up. That kind of mindset changes everything. It puts you in control of your life again. It reminds you that the power is always in your hands, not in the timing, not in the circumstances, but in your ability to choose movement over delay. Steady action creates structure in your life. It gives your mind something to focus on. It quiets the chaos. It builds trust within yourself. You start to believe in your word because you see it reflected in your actions. And that trust fuels even more action. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You're proving it to yourself every single day. That's how you create a strong foundation. By doing what needs to be done without needing the world to see it. Don't underestimate the power of daily action. One good decision leads to another. One focused hour leads to momentum. One act of discipline can shift your entire mindset. Resistance hates momentum. It thrives in hesitation. It feeds on doubt. But once you move, even slightly, you starve it. And over time, you train yourself to move faster, to hesitate less, to trust yourself more. Will feel tired. You will feel uncertain. You will feel like quitting. But those moments don't define you. How you respond to them does. And the best response is steady, grounded action. Not emotional, not reactive, just deliberate movement in the direction you said mattered. That's how you grow. That's how you rise. That's how you take control back from the resistance that's been trying to hold you down. You don't need to feel ready. You need to begin. You don't need to have it all figured out. You need to take the next step. Don't give your energy to your doubts. Don't give your time to distractions. Give it to your mission. Give it to the work. Let every action be a declaration of what you're building. Let every step you take become proof that you're done letting resistance run your life. When resistance shows up, see it as a sign that you're on the right path. It only fights what threatens it. It only shows up when you're doing something meaningful. Use that as fuel. Use it as a signal to keep going. Because beyond that resistance is growth. Beyond that resistance is clarity. Beyond that resistance is the version of you you've been working to become. Stay steady. Stay focused. Keep moving. That's how you push through. That's how you win. Chapter: Face your fears with calm, clear intention. Fear is not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. It hides behind your hesitation, behind your excuses, behind the things you keep postponing. You may not even call it fear. You call it not ready, or not the right time, or I'll do it later. But deep down, you know it's fear. It's the quiet resistance that it lives inside you, telling you to stay where it's safe. It's the tension you feel when you think about taking that risk, having that conversation, showing up in a way you never have before. It shows up in your thoughts, your body, your energy, and if you don't train yourself to meet it with calm clarity, it runs your life without ever needing to shout. The biggest mistake people make is trying to escape fear. They fight it, avoid it, deny it. They build their life around comfort, hoping fear never catches up. But fear doesn't go away just because you pretend it's not there. It waits. It grows in the silence. It gains power every time you run from it. You don't overcome fear by avoiding it. You overcome it by turning toward it with a steady mind. You meet it with presence. You meet it with intention. Not panic, not resistance, not self-doubt. Calm and clear. That starts by being honest with yourself about what you're afraid of. You can't shift something you refuse to name. You have to look at your fear directly and see it for what it is. A feeling, not a fact. It's not a prophecy. It's not a sentence. It's not the truth. It's a response from your mind and body trying to protect you from the unknown. That doesn't make it bad. It just means you have to learn how to lead through it. Fear doesn't go away completely, but it loses its grip the moment you stop letting it make your decisions. What most people don't realize is that fear and clarity can exist at the same time. You can feel afraid and still move with precision. You can be unsure and still speak with intention. You don't need to wait until the fear disappears before you act. If you do that, you'll wait forever. Fear shrinks when you stop flinching. It fades when you take a deep breath and move forward anyway. It softens when you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you believed. You've got to learn how to slow your thoughts down when fear starts speeding them up. You can't think clearly when you're in a panic state. You've got to bring yourself back to the present moment, to what you can actually control. Ground yourself. Focus your breathing. Anchor your attention in what's real, not what's imagined. Fear feeds on future scenarios. It grows when you live in what if. But clarity comes from asking what now. What can I do in this moment to move forward? What step can I take to reduce the unknown? What decision can I make that aligns with my values, not my fears? You train your mind to respond to fear with calm, not by suppressing emotion, but by leading yourself through it. You don't have to pretend you're fearless. You just have to choose not to be ruled by fear. That's a choice you make again and again. Every time fear shows up, you choose awareness over avoidance. You choose movement over paralysis. You choose intention over reaction. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. You start to recognize fear not as a stop sign, but as a signal that something meaningful is ahead. You stop treating fear like an enemy and start treating it like a teacher. Because fear always points to what matters. You don't fear things that don't touch your values, your identity, your sense of purpose. So when fear shows up, ask yourself, what is it trying to protect? What part of me feels threatened? And what part of me is ready to grow? This isn't about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about developing the kind of mental strength that keeps you grounded in the middle of discomfort. You don't need to fake confidence. You need to develop conviction. Conviction is quiet. It's not about appearing strong. It's about knowing what you stand for and choosing to act in alignment with it. You train this by making clear decisions, by staying true to yourself under pressure, by refusing to abandon your path just because it's hard. Fear tries to rush you into panic decisions. Calm intention slows you down and gives you space to choose wisely. That space is everything. That space is your power. It gives you the ability to pause, to evaluate, to breathe, to remember who you are. In that space, you can see fear without being consumed by it. You can separate what's real from what's imagined. You can take back control of your response. Sometimes fear shows up as overthinking. You get stuck analyzing every outcome, every scenario. You freeze in preparation mode, convincing yourself you need more time, more certainty, more control. But clarity isn't found in overthinking. It's found in action. The more you move, the more you see. The more you see, the more clearly you think. Action clears the fog. It gives you feedback. It builds confidence one choice at a time. You have to be willing to act without knowing how it's all going to play out. That's not recklessness. That's courage. Courage is making decisions in the presence of fear, not in the absence of it. You can be afraid and still act. You can feel the weight of uncertainty and still make progress. But only if you're willing to meet that fear head-on, not with panic, but with focus. Not with desperation, but with clarity. Calm doesn't mean passive. It means grounded. It means you're centered in yourself, in your values, in your direction. It means you don't let fear pull you into reaction. You choose your moves. You stay connected to what matters. You keep your energy focused, not scattered. That's what makes your actions powerful. Not force, but intention. Not noise, but direction. There will always be things that scare you. That's part of growing. But you get to decide how you show up when fear arrives. You can meet it with chaos, or you can meet it with discipline. You can let it shape your choices, or you can use it as a reminder that you're stepping into new territory. Every time you choose clarity over fear, you become stronger. Not because the fear goes away, but because it no longer runs the show. You become the kind of person who acts with purpose, who speaks with courage, who moves with quiet strength. Not because you're fearless, but because you've built the habit of responding with clarity. That's a mental skill. That's a way of life. And it's something you can develop every single day by choosing to face what scares you with calm, clear intention. This path is not about perfection. It's about direction. It's about deciding that your fear will not be the reason you hold back. It's about getting clear on who you want to be and acting like it before you feel ready. It's about practicing self-leadership in the moments when everything inside you wants to shrink. That's when growth happens, not in theory, but in those uncomfortable moments when you say, "I'm doing this anyway." There's a difference between being afraid and being controlled by fear. One is a feeling, the other is a choice. You can feel fear and still be free. You can feel uncertain and still act from power. The key is learning to slow down, breathe deep, and choose your response from a grounded place. That's where your strength lives, in your ability to act with awareness, not react from emotion. The world doesn't reward panic. It rewards clarity. It rewards those who can stay steady in a storm. And that steadiness is something you build through practice. Every time you stay calm under pressure, you reinforce the kind of mindset that doesn't get shaken easily. You prove to yourself that you're not fragile. You're focused. You're ready. You're stronger than the fear that tries to hold you back. So don't run. Don't hide. Don't delay. Look your fears in the eye and move forward with intention. Take one step, then another. Speak clearly. Act decisively. Stay rooted in what matters to you. Let fear be your signal, not your ruler. Let it remind you that you are alive, that you are expanding, that you are becoming more. You don't need to eliminate fear. You need to move through it calmly, clearly, intentionally. That's how you take your power back. That's how you stop waiting and start living. That's how you lead your own life, by choosing to meet fear with focus instead of avoidance, with strength instead of panic, with action instead of excuses. That's what creates real change. That's what makes you unstoppable. Chapter 9. Review your progress. With complete honesty, progress is a journey, not a destination. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that success is about reaching a specific point, an outcome, a goal, a place where you feel like you finally made it. But in reality, progress is a constant evolving process. You don't reach a certain point and stop. You don't hit a finish line and walk away. Instead, progress is about the small steps you take every single day. And if you're going to improve, if you're going to get better, you need to be willing to look at where you stand right now with complete honesty. This isn't about judging yourself harshly. It's about facing reality without distortion. It's about seeing yourself as you truly are, not through the lens of self-doubt or self-congratulation, but through the lens of truth. The only way to truly grow is to be clear about where you are. You can't improve something if you don't know what's broken. You can't change something if you're not willing to acknowledge that it needs changing. Honest self-reflection isn't an act of self-criticism. It's an act of self-liberation. It frees you to make adjustments, to learn from your mistakes, and to take control of your trajectory. Too often, people avoid honest reflection because they're afraid of what they might find. They're afraid of the truth. But what they don't realize is that the truth isn't something that can harm you. It's something that can set you free. The more clearly you can see where you're succeeding and where you're falling short, the more empowered you become to make the necessary changes. You're not chained to the past. You're free to choose where you go next. The first step in this process is learning to be objective about your own actions. Emotions have a tendency to cloud your judgment. When you look at your progress, it's easy to get wrapped up in how you feel about it. Maybe you feel proud, and that's great. But pride can sometimes blind you to the areas where you're not. You are dedicated to learning from your actions and adjusting accordingly. You're not afraid to face your shortcomings, but you also don't get lost in them. You face them, learn from them, and use them as fuel to drive you forward. At the end of the day, reviewing your progress with complete honesty is a gift you give yourself. It's the tool that allows you to grow without lying to yourself. It's the truth that sets you free. Don't be afraid of it. Welcome it. Embrace it, because only by being brutally honest about where you are can you truly move forward to where you want to be. Chapter: Own your choices and learn from them. When you own your choices, you take full responsibility for the path your life follows. It's empowering to realize that every decision you make, no matter how small or significant, is shaping your future. The power to choose is the most powerful force you have at your disposal. But with that power comes responsibility. Owning your choices is not about blaming yourself for every mistake, nor is it about being self-congratulatory when things go well. It's about acknowledging that you are the one driving your life forward, regardless of the circumstances or the challenges you face. The essence of owning your choices lies in the awareness that every moment presents an opportunity for you to decide. Too often, we think that circumstances control us, or that we are victims of situations beyond our control. While it's true that external factors can influence our lives, how we respond to them is always our choice. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you react to it, and that makes all the difference. When you stop blaming others for your situation and start accepting full responsibility for your decisions, you unlock a powerful shift in mindset. You realize that no one else can dictate your path. Your choices are what determine your outcomes. No one can choose for you. Not your parents, not your friends, not even the world around you. When you make a choice, you are laying the groundwork for what comes next. The choices you make today shape your tomorrow, and this is the undeniable truth of life. However, owning your choices is more than just acknowledging your power to decide. It's about becoming mindful of those decisions and understanding their impact. Each choice you make ripples out into your life. It's easy to forget that the small decisions matter just as much as the big ones. You might not think twice about skipping a workout or ignoring a phone call, but these small choices, repeated day after day, create patterns that define your habits and ultimately your life. When you choose to stay disciplined, even when it feels uncomfortable, you are actively shaping your future. If you choose consistency over instant gratification, your future self will thank you for it. If you choose patience over impatience, you'll see long-term rewards. The power of owning your choices is that it gives you the ability to steer your life in the direction you desire. Every choice is a step closer to your goals or a step farther from them, but it's always in your hands. A key aspect of owning your choices is acknowledging the consequences, both good and bad. When you choose to take action, you also accept the possibility of failure or mistakes. Not every choice will result in immediate success. Not every decision will be the right one. But that doesn't mean you should shy away from making decisions. Rather, you need to embrace the inevitable setbacks as part of the process. Mistakes and failures are not the end. They are opportunities to learn and grow. Too many people shy away from making decisions because they're afraid of making the wrong choice. They want certainty and safety, but safety is the enemy of growth. If you're not willing to step out and take risks, you'll never reach your full potential. Owning your choices means being willing to make decisions even when the outcome is uncertain. It means accepting that sometimes you'll fail, but that failure is not a reflection of your worth. It's simply part of the journey. One of the most important aspects of owning your choices is learning from them. Every decision, whether it turns out well or poorly, offers valuable lessons. When you make a choice that leads to a setback or failure, instead of wallowing in regret, look at it as a learning opportunity. Ask yourself what went wrong, what you could have done differently, and how you can apply that knowledge to future decisions. Growth doesn't come from avoiding mistakes. It comes from understanding them and using them to improve. The process of learning from your choices requires self-reflection and self-awareness. It's about being honest with yourself about what worked and what didn't. It's about being willing to question your decisions and your actions without judgment and without allowing your ego to get in the way. It's about seeing yourself as a student of life, constantly learning and evolving. No decision is ever truly a failure if you learn from it and use that knowledge to become better. In fact, your failures are often your best teachers. Another crucial aspect of owning your choices is recognizing the role that your values play in your decisions. Your values are the guiding principles that shape your actions. When you make a decision that aligns with your core values, you'll feel a sense of fulfillment and peace. But when your choices contradict your values, you'll feel dissonance and regret. The more clearly you define your values, the easier it becomes to make choices that align with who you truly are and who you want to become. It's easy to get caught up in the opinions and expectations of others. But when you live your life based on external influences, you lose touch with what truly matters to you. Owning your choices means listening to your inner voice and trusting yourself to make decisions that are in line with your values, even if they don't align with what others expect of you. When you live in alignment with your values, you create a sense of authenticity in your life, and this authenticity fuels your growth and success. However, it's not enough to just make the right choices in the moment. You also need to learn how to commit to your decisions. Too often, people make choices and then second-guess themselves. They lack the confidence to follow through, and as a result, their decisions lack impact. When you own your choices, You take full responsibility for seeing them through. You don't abandon your decisions halfway because they get difficult or because you feel uncertain. You commit to your choices and take action, even when the path gets tough. This is where the true test of discipline lies, having the resilience to follow through regardless of the obstacles that arise. It's also important to recognize that owning your choices isn't about perfection. Perfection is an illusion. There's no such thing as making the perfect choice every time. The key is not to strive for perfection, but to take ownership of your decisions and learn from them, no matter the outcome. If you make a mistake, own it. If you succeed, own that too. Celebrate your wins and take responsibility for your losses. This is the true essence of personal power. The ability to stand firm in your decisions regardless of the outcome and take full ownership of your journey. Your choices are the building blocks of your life. Every day, you're faced with hundreds of decisions, and each one plays a role in shaping your future. When you take ownership of those decisions, you take ownership of your life. You stop being a passive participant and start becoming the creator of your own destiny. Life doesn't just happen to you, you make it happen. When you own your choices, you step into your power. You take control of your narrative and refuse to let anyone else dictate your direction. The ability to own your choices is what separates those who succeed from those who remain stuck. It's the key to personal growth, freedom, and fulfillment. Ultimately, owning your choices is about being true to yourself. It's about recognizing that every decision you make, no matter how small, is a reflection of who you are and who you want to become. It's about learning from your experiences, adjusting your course, and taking full responsibility for the life you're building. When you own your choices, you own your life. And when you own your life, you create the future you desire. Chapter: Create a simple routine that fuels growth. A simple routine that fuels growth is the foundation for achieving long-term success. It's easy to get caught up in the complexity of life, thinking that the path to growth must be intricate and overwhelming. But in reality, the most effective routines are often the simplest ones. A routine doesn't have to be packed with a dozen tasks to be powerful. In fact, it is often the minimalist approach that yields the most significant results. It's not about how much you can fit into your day, but how much consistency you can bring to the actions that matter most. At the core of any growth-oriented routine is consistency. It's about showing up day after day, no matter how you feel. It's not about waiting for motivation to strike. It's about cultivating the discipline to act even when motivation is low. When you make the act of showing up a non-negotiable part of your routine, you create momentum. This momentum is what propels you forward, especially when you're facing setbacks or challenges. A simple routine doesn't require a strict, time-consuming schedule. Instead, it's about choosing a few key activities that align with your growth goals and making those actions a habit. It's about identifying the most impactful things you can do each day to move yourself closer to where you want to be. These actions should be ones that stretch your limits and challenge your current capabilities. The more you do them, the more your growth will accelerate. The first step in creating a simple routine that fuels growth is to define your priorities. What do you need to focus on right now in your life? What habits or actions will contribute most to your personal and professional growth? It's easy to get distracted by all the possibilities and opportunities available to you, but you have to narrow your focus. Trying to do too many things at once will only dilute your energy and spread you too thin. Growth requires a clear direction and unwavering focus. Once you've identified your key priorities, the next step is to integrate them into your daily routine. This doesn't mean you have to dedicate hours to each activity. It's about consistency, not the amount of time spent. For example, if reading is a priority for your growth, commit to reading for just minutes a day. Over time, these small increments add up. In a month, you'll have read more than books, not because you spent hours each day, but because you made reading a daily habit. Another important part of a simple routine is structure. A well-structured routine helps you stay organized and focused, which is crucial for progress. It's not about having every moment of your day planned out. Instead, it's about creating a framework that allows you to seamlessly move from one task to the next without wasting time or energy. For example, if your routine involves waking up at a specific time, eating breakfast, and then exercising, structure ensures that you're not wasting time deciding what to do next. It frees your mind from unnecessary distractions, allowing you to focus on what matters most. But while structure is important, flexibility is also key. Life will throw unexpected challenges your way, and there will be days when things don't go according to plan. A simple routine is adaptable enough to accommodate these changes. Flexibility means that even if you miss a workout or fall behind on a task, you don't give up. You find a way to get back on track without guilt or frustration. The most successful people are not those who follow a perfect routine without fail. They are the ones who can adjust and keep moving forward regardless of setbacks. One of the most powerful aspects of a simple routine is its ability to build momentum. When you start small with just one or two key activities, you create a snowball effect. The more you do something, the more natural it becomes. At first, it may feel like a struggle to stick to your routine, but as you continue, it becomes easier. This is the power of habit. Once a behavior becomes a habit, it no longer requires conscious effort to do. It becomes automatic, freeing up your mental energy to focus on other important tasks. Growth doesn't happen overnight, but when you commit to a simple routine, you create the conditions for long-term progress. It's the consistency of your actions, day after day, that compounds and leads to significant change. A simple routine helps you build the discipline to keep going, even when the initial excitement fades. It keeps you on track and ensures that you continue to make progress regardless of how small the steps may seem. A key aspect of creating a routine that fuels growth is the understanding that it's not about perfection. It's about progress. No, routine will be flawless, and there will be days when things don't go as planned. But that doesn't mean your routine has failed. It means you have an opportunity to learn and adjust. The key is to remain consistent with your efforts even on the days when you don't feel like it. Another factor that makes a simple routine so powerful is that it eliminates decision fatigue. When you have a routine, you don't waste time thinking about what you need to do next. The decision-making process is already taken care of. Your routine is a series of predetermined actions that you follow each day. This allows you to focus all your mental energy on executing the tasks at hand rather than deciding what to do next. It's this mental clarity that fuels growth, as you're able to focus on your actions rather than your choices. A simple routine also allows you to track your progress. When you stick to the same activities each day, it becomes easier to measure your growth. Whether it's reading a certain number of pages, writing a specific word count, or completing a workout, the consistency of your routine provides a clear benchmark for progress. Tracking your progress in this way keeps you motivated. You'll look back one day and realize every slow, difficult, unseen step was necessary. You'll realize that everything you needed was built in the process itself. The results will come. The transformation will come. The growth will reveal itself. But only if you trust the process and stay consistent every single day.